I have 63 pages documenting your violations, Mr. Davis. This stops now.
I appreciate the documentation, but
You are interrupting an official inquiry. Step back, please.
The sirens hit the brick like neon rain while cold air bit my ears and the porch smelled like wet asphalt and burnt coffee. A police cruiser idled at the curb. Flashing lights cut the hedges into red and blue stripes. Karen from the HOA stood on my mansion's front steps, arms high, waving a stapled stack like a flag. She called my full name, my old job title, my old city, even the school I once donated to, loud enough to wake every dog on Waverly Lane. She taped sheets to my door and live-streamed as if the cul-de-sac were a stage. Her voice shook with triumph. Mine shook with shock. This wasn't a warning. It was a show. That's the night I learned what this fight was about, and it fits the headline you'd click at 2:00 a.m. Karen doxed me at the mansion porch in 63 pages, had no idea I am their inspector general. She was sure the papers would bury me. She said I was a squatter with a corporate shell. She said our bylaws ban short-term guests after 9:00 p.m. and claimed I ran a hotel. She spread numbers like glitter, 14 complaints, 2 noise tickets, and a phantom $500 fine. None of it matched the facts. But the worst part wasn't the lies. It was that she named my old office and my mother's city. I felt the chill travel from porch stone into bone. My nerves hummed like the cruiser's fan. I tried the simple door. I called the board. I asked for a quick talk. They said a courtesy huddle for May 3, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. I showed up with a calm face and a warm cup of tea I didn't drink. Karen sat at the head of the folding table like a queen in a cardigan. Neighbors wouldn't meet my eyes. One whispered sorry after her stare pinned him down. I explained the guests were my cousins who flew in for 2 nights. I showed the check-ins and the return ticket. She waved me off and said policy is policy. The board nodded along like dashboard bobbleheads. When I mentioned the live stream and the taped pages, she smiled and said the community deserves transparency. I walked home under porch lights that suddenly felt like cameras. My line in the sand drew itself right there on the sidewalk crack. I promised myself I'd use proper channels only. No yelling. No pettiness. But I would not let someone bulldoze my name. So I got to work. I filed a public records request on the calls tied to my address and any HOA emails using my name. The clerk emailed back 2 days later and asked if I could pick it up due to volume. At the counter, the file landed with 63 pages. The cover sheet smelled like toner and victory. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. Timeline item 2 April 6 at 9:00 p.m. party complaint with no sound on officer body cam. Timeline item 3 April 10 at 11:13 a.m. board member requests code enforcement proactive sweep of my block only. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I highlighted the part where Karen asked the board to make an example of me before any vote. I found invoices for security flyers for $2,300 sent to a cousin's print shop. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I didn't need to say it loud. I needed to show it right. I booked a speaking slot at the open forum for the annual meeting, May 15 at 7:00 p.m., Clubhouse Hall. I wore a plain blue jacket and a steady face. Karen opened the night with a smug recap and a promise to clean up abuses. When my turn came, I rolled my binder to the projector and clicked through. No drama. Just dates, times, and receipts. The room grew so quiet I could hear the ice crack in the water jug. Then I set the final slide. It read, disclosure and oversight. I took a breath and spoke the line I'd saved for last. Some of you may not know my day job. I'm the Inspector General for the county's Civilian Oversight Office. Which means my work is to check power with facts. Her live stream phone wobbled. A few gasps turned into a ripple. I walked the room through the public file, the call pattern, the self-dealing print invoices. I explained in simple words how board funds require competitive bids. I showed the policy that bans doxing with personal family info. I clicked to the bodycam clip, 9:00 p.m., quiet porch, crickets louder than my living room. She tried to interrupt. I kept my voice soft and steady. The trap wasn't a trick. It was the truth, under lights. The hall filled with raised phones. Neighbors filmed. Someone whispered this is nuts and someone else said get her, facts guy, and then laughed at their own joke. On our neighborhood app, comments popped like popcorn. The worry gave way to snorts and side eyes. A teenager in the back said that's our house Karen, you called on us too, remember? The bored lawyer, who had been half asleep, sat up to full height. He asked me for copies. I had them tabbed. The receipts montage line in real life, I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. The officer who once stood at my curb now leaned on the door and nodded slowly at the body cam clip. He whispered to the lawyer. She panicked and claimed she acted as a private citizen. The board president checked the invoices and went pale when he saw the last name match. The chairs creaked with a shift in the room. The livestream chat said check the dates, Queen. Someone posted a meme of a cardboard crown. The flip came like a gavel without the bang. The lawyer advised the board to move into an emergency vote. The president read a motion: suspend Karen from any enforcement role, bar her from accessing owner data, order a third-party audit, and refer the doxing to the city attorney. Another motion forced her to reimburse $2,300 and pay a civil penalty of $850 for misuse of funds. The officer spoke on record: no evidence ever supported the trespass or party calls. He added the simplest line I've ever loved: patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. You could hear the word prosecuted bounce off the ceiling tiles. The board passed it all, 4-0. Karen tried to storm out but had to walk past the cluster of phones. The hallway smelled like copier paper and a hint of panic. When she reached the door, she stopped to rip a flyer off the wall. It tore in two. A whole row laughed, not loud, but enough. Days later, peace returned in ordinary ways. No sirens. No flyers. No weird notes tucked under my doormat. The audit found 6 other petty infractions and made the board rewrite the complaint form so only verified reports get logged. Karen lost her seat and her cousin's no-bid print job. She posted a half apology on May 20th at 9:18 a.m., then took it down by lunch. The city sent her a notice for harassment and misuse of personal data. She will sit through a class and pay the fines. I planted 2 hydrangeas at the corner where the porch meets the walk. My next-door neighbor brought brownies, still warm in a foil pan, and said we're glad you're here. I told him I'm glad they're here too. Now the only flashing lights we see are from bikes at dusk and the grills at 7:30 p.m. throwing sparks into a calm June sky. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.